they did not, raid Matiang'i's home. They did not send anyone. Yeah. And actually, in regards to yesterday's, raid, they wanted, just to get footages.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
That the reason that we're talking about this raid, apparently, is for them to get access to the footage of the raid. But then, Keitany, how does it go? You get a court order. After you get a court order, then the court order then will be respected within that timeline. We haven't had news, and that's according to the lawyer. We haven't had news of the court order being served and with the periods of the court order. So you wonder, the case is quite complicated, isn't it?
I followed up that story yesterday. Yeah. And one, by the way, according to Mr. Dunstan Omari, the police did not have any search warrant. By the way, the court declined to give or to order the security company to provide the footage yesterday. Yeah. I think the order came at around 12. By midday yesterday, there was an order that the court had declined the application by the DCI to have the security company avail the footage. So I presume they decided to do it otherwise, or they decided otherwise, and maybe I don't know how they went around their business. So would you expect that story to continue making headlines today? And of course, we don't know if Matiang'i himself will come and address the media, because he's been a very, very silent man ever since all this began. So we'll wait and see what happens in particular. But we do expect that one Dunstan Omari and of course the likes of Sam Nyaberi, those are the lawyers of the former cabinet secretary, will be maybe appearing in court today and of course addressing the media. And as well, the DCI will maybe come out to address or give the status report, because we do know that they said last week, they said they are doing investigations in regard to the earlier raid that was reported to have happened on the 9th of February, beg your pardon, the night of the 9th of February. And of course, they said they will do the investigations and they will unravel what really happened. So we do expect that one, Mr. Amin, the DCI boss, will of course come out clean and say or explain to Kenyans what was the aim of the raid yesterday.
It's interesting. It's a developing story, and we've seen throughout, and that's why we're giving it that weight here, because then, like we said, it's a story that we started talking about last week. The Media Council of Kenya got involved, the government got involved, the Interior CS was speaking, the police bosses also got to speak on it as well. So up to now, you can see exactly how it's developed, and that's why we should be keeping a tabs on it, and then I know we should be reporting on this and giving you further details on it as well. Keitany, any other story that we're giving weight in our newsroom today?
Now, there's one other particular story. We all know that, the court, that is the Employment and Labor Relations Court, and of course, quashed the appointment of the cabinet, the chief administrative secretaries in the cabinet. Now, Simba, we all know that President Uhuru Kenyatta created these positions and went ahead to appoint, to make appointments to this particular position without, one, of course, public participation. And last year, somewhere around October in 2022, the court, termed the office of the CASs as unconstitutional.
Yes.
And now, the ruling is set to be made today on what is the way forward. Like you said earlier, there are many, many hundreds or even thousands of, the Kenya Kwanza administration loyalists, people who are allied to President William Ruto and of course his deputy Rigathi Gachagua and their political parties, apart from the coalition in itself, the UDA, which is the dominant party in the Kenya Kwanza administration. They're waiting for these slots. We have high-profile politicians who lost in the general elections in 2022, that was held on August 9th last year. They are waiting to be appointed. There are many people, Simba, who are yet to be appointed. The likes of Millicent Omanga, there's Charles Njagua Kanyi, very, very high-profile politicians who are waiting to be appointed, maybe into such slots. But we will wait and see what the court will say, because if the due procedure is not followed, then it means, as the Employment and Labor Relations Court said, it is unconstitutional. I don't know what you think about this particular story, Simba.
It's a developing story as well, Keitany, because you and I do know exactly how it goes all the way back to Uhuru Kenyatta's government. Indeed, he just decided that, well, I've got to warn a couple of my fellow, I'll call them friends, yes, friends throughout my campaign. Now, the courts actually did make themselves clear on that particular position was unconstitutional. We did see the ruling that followed that particular case when they said there was no proper public participation. But we do know exactly how Uhuru Kenyatta really was in his relationship with the courts towards the end of his tenure, actually all the way from 2015. And we did get to look at that and look at business the other day when we headlined it on courts versus the economy. In fact, they declared majority of his biggest appointments and economic projects illegal, including SGR. But that besides the point. So you like to think then that President William Ruto will be well advised, and he was, by the way, because you did see once he got into office, he threw that particular motion to public participation. Now, to make it legal. There's a lot of conversations on exactly how public participation goes, but we do know how it goes, just to meet what the law states. Now today, it's a particular important day on this particular, it's a big story, by the way, because we do know there's so many, for lack of a better word, Keitany, hangers-on that President Dr. William Ruto has not essentially recognized in his government. We've seen appointments in parastatals and other state departments within the country. That is done and dusted. Now, what is left is for him to continue awarding his campaign buddies, and we're going to see whether indeed the courts are going to rule in his favor. Keitany, when you look at it like this, you see, the courts have been given their budget, isn't it? The courts have also been given the judges, were not appointed by former retired President Uhuru Kenyatta, were just appointed on the first day of Ruto assuming his office. So you like to think that the courts look at Ruto and then say, wow, we are on the good side with you. You've given us our budget allocations. You've promised you're going to do that. You've appointed, the judges were not appointed by the former retired President Uhuru Kenyatta. So maybe now we can scratch you back a little. That's why this is quite a big story. And it's a developing story that I myself am quite interested in it.
Maybe you're saying you're interested. Were you interested in applying for the position because it was advertised? Maybe were you interested in applying for a CS position?
No, I knew I was not going to get it. You
don't fancy yourself getting a chance?
No, because we do know how it goes, isn't it? Keitany, it is, if you were really very close to President Dr. William Ruto during his campaigns, you played a particular key role in his campaigns, then you'd expect that you're going to land on this. Because this particular position, according to the former President Uhuru Kenyatta, it was a political appointment that I got to have somebody in this particular state ministries who are going to play my side. Because we do expect then that the PSs and the CSs is pretty much going to dig their head in the work. So somebody's going to listen to politics and make sure that my agenda is getting followed closely. So I don't fancy myself against Millicent Omanga, who might get a CIS position.
Now, Simba, that in itself should, serve as a lesson to you.
Here's the thing.
Going forward,
good.
I've said in this particular show that at some point in time, I wish to join politics. So when I vie, make sure you're just beside me. Be a close ally of Ian Keitany. Maybe when I get into office, I'll consider you for position.
Oh, yeah?
Lesson well learned, implement it. 2032, 2037.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
So here's the thing, though. It's either you belong to... funny enough, Keitany, you and I do know. In as much as we have multi-party system in the country and we don't even have umbrella parties, that we have to wait every time for us to have this umbrella body. Like we had to wait up to the 2022 elections for us to have Kenya Kwanza and the Azimio coalition, isn't it?
Yes.
Last election, it was what? Jubilee and NASA, isn't it?
Yes.
Here's the thing. Regardless of how much we assume that indeed then that there are no two sides. In Kenya, history has it that there are two sides. And you've got to belong to either. So it's, I'm always going to belong to the other.
Simba. Regardless of where you belong.
Right there, But should you run in 2037, Keitany?
Yes, I definitely.
Fully behind your back.
Thank you so much.
All right. And be your communication and campaign manager. What position are you going for?
Personally, in 2037?
Member of Parliament?
I'm thinking about Member of Parliament in 2032. 2037, if everything goes according to plan, maybe I can be, Elgeyo Marakwet's CEO.
Oh, yeah?
County boss.
Yes, one. That's good. I'll be right behind you.
But, again, Simba, in terms of, these appointments, the CS appointments, in politics, they say it's all about loyalty. And, of course, one Rigathi Gachagua is on record during a Thanksgiving service in Uasin Gishu County. Said the government will reward the loyalists first, and then other people
and then the rest of them will follow.
So, like they say, politics is all about loyalty. How loyal are you to, the person that you support, or your party, or whoever you, is in prime position to land a particular job? So that is it. But away from that, we are also, having a look at the drought situation in different parts of the country. We all know that there are certain areas that have been hit hard by drought. We have counties like Isiolo County, Samburu, Garissa, Wajir, Tana River. The other day I was doing a story about, how pastoralists in Wajir County, not only pastoralists, but everybody is trying to migrate from that particular county to Tana River County in search of water, in search of food. And they were saying thousands of people, livestock have been lost due to, the ongoing drought. And it is ravaging across many parts, especially the northern part of this particular country. And of course, people, or the residents of those particular counties, are calling on the government to intervene, maybe provide relief, food. But the question is, Simba, and I keep on talking about this every single time, what can we do to ensure food security? And this again, last month, the president was in Senegal, and we were here talking with you about the issue of food security. And, he made a lot of pledges. And it is true, Africa can be, self-sustainable in terms of agriculture and, food security and all that.
Yes.
But the question is, what are we doing wrong? Because clearly there's something that is not, working. And the government is talking about the Cabinet Secretary for, water, that is one, Alice Oom, the former MP for Kandara constituency. She said the government is planning to construct 100 dams across the country. There's no problem. You can say you want to construct 100 dams. Question is, when will the government do that?
It's a promise that we've kept on saying.
Exactly.
Yes.
And where is the priorities? In terms of, the location? Because you cannot tell me today you want to construct a dam maybe, in Nakuru or in Nairobi or in Eldoret. Yes, they might need them, but we need to find the areas that they need these dams the most.
Yeah.
Because places like, those areas that have been hit hard by drought, you understand? So the government, and we also need to capitalize on, the rainy period, because most of the time, it is very funny, Simba, and I don't understand. Today, you'll find residents or people or counties from the northern parts of this country, they've been hit hard by drought. When it rains, they say when it rains, it pours. The areas are flooding. Could we maybe capitalize on such periods and harvest these rainwater? Because at the end of the day, it will help us when we need it the most.
It's a good question, Keitany, and there seems to be a lack of will, Keitany, from our governors or members of parliament and even the national administration on what we can do jointly as a country to fight hunger and drought. So it's funny, Keitany, there's a pay bill, by the way, that's already going on that you can actually get to contribute to alleviate the hunger crisis in the country. But then, again, next year, you and I are going to be here, hopefully, and talk about this again, like the country is facing a hunger crisis. Again, 2 years after this, we're going to be talking about this. Somebody asked a question. Well, the president attended the Senegal forum on eliminating hunger from Eastern Central Africa. Do we have to wait to go to forums to talk about our plans, Keitany, as Africans? I just don't get it. Especially as a country, we do know right now 6 million people face acute starvation. That is close to death. Look at the pictures that we're showing on the screen today. I mean, when you look at them, people are losing livelihoods. my question has been that these governors from the ASAL areas in the country, it has been over 60 years now, Keitany, since we got our independence.
True.
And we're talking about people dying of starvation. As a president, as a governor who's been in this region for 10 years, if you can come back and show us exactly what you've done, because that has to be top of your priorities as a government, then I think you're failing. So this is me calling out all the former presidents we've ever had, all the former county governors we've ever had in these particular areas who haven't up to date just said, this is what I need to do as a governor, as a president, as a member of parliament who comes from this area, this legislation to move resources and priorities to the ASAL areas so that every year we don't get talking about people dying of people lacking food. As a nation that has Vision 2030, the Vision 2030 envisions plenty of food supply. You're just 7 years from that. 7. And you're talking about 6 billion people who've got no food banner. Either way, whatever you look at it, it's a complete failure of our national systems and our county systems. By the way, Keitany, right now, you see how the law envisions, yeah, that you as a county can actually float a development bond. We've seen a lot of counties do that, by the way. Now, here's the thing. Now, you as a governor, when you are in these particular counties and these ASAL areas, the CSs now, because we do understand that county governments are now properly run governments, can't you task your CSs, the CS, irrigation and agriculture, to come on board and then the CS, probably the Ministry of Treasury in this particular county governments, can't you come together and say, what is the potential for our counties in terms of production? Then can't we float development bonds then that have targets and timelines so that we can help our people? Because Keitany, all of a sudden, these counties again will come and say, national government, tusaidie, hatuna pesa. But you as a county boss, again, that is your responsibility. And probably now, it's time for us to ask these county governors, what have you done? Because other counties are moving forward in terms of development and alleviating some of these things that we're talking about.
Yeah, definitely. And like you say, you've rightly put it, it should be a collaboration between the county governments and the national government. True. And especially the county government, because they are the ones on the ground. They do understand what is happening in the mashinani areas as compared to the national government. Engage with the Ministry of, the Ministry of Water and, sanitation. Because at the end of the day, in as much as the residents will question the national government, you as the county chief and your, chief executive committee members, what have you done? And if at all, it becomes a big deal, engage the national government. And funny enough, Simba, and I've had an issue with this, not only the county governments, even the members of the National Assembly. Because most of the times you see members of the National Assembly from, the northeastern region. When it rains, they go to Twitter, social media platforms, posting videos of, how it is raining over there. But the question is, what are you doing? And what plans do you have to harvest this water? Because you cannot be tweeting when it's raining, doing nothing. You have no mechanisms in place to ensure that, we can harvest this water. Then when the rainy season is over, we can help our people with it.
Yeah, start crying about how we're dying of hunger as well.
That's ridiculous.
We need to put them on the spot, Keitany. But we don't beg, Keitany, then. Is that it? Those are the stories some of the stories are focusing on the Newsroom Diary, isn't it? Yeah,
of course. Yeah. Those are just some of the stories, but we have many other stories that our reporters are following up for you today, not only here in the capital, Nairobi, but as well across the counties in the Republic of Kenya, and even across the borders, not only regionally, but also internationally. And by the way, Simba, this is a story that many people have, started to forget about, but the death toll in the Turkey, earthquake is well over 37,000. And by the way, one footballer, Christian Asu, is yet to be found. So remember when we were talking about the numbers, we were 20,000. We were, anticipating that the numbers could be higher.
It's gone up.
37,000 plus.
That's a huge number. And by the way, I was listening to the official numbers from WHO. They're saying that we do expect that to continue rising as well.
Yeah, definitely. So be sure to stay with us until the very end of the day to get details, not only details, but finer details on all those particular stories. And of course, we do have subsequent updates at 12, 1 and 2, and of course at 2, 3, 4 and 5 on our bulletin. We'll give you updates on what is happening across the country. And like always, do not forget to as well visit our website, www.likaptv.co.ke, to get stories that are happening across the country.
Pretty much. All right. At this time, then, let's jump into what is trending this morning. Oh, yes. Let's then kill this in just a couple of minutes. Look at exactly what it is that you're talking about as Kenyans today. And I know we're going to talk about Arsenal, Man City, fine. I'll be here to receive it, but let's begin like this. This is Honorable George Peter Kaluma. This is what he's saying. The persecution of Dr. Fred Matiang'i is making him too popular. Who advises the police? Keitany, is that about the popularity of Matiang'i, is it?
Popular for what exactly? Making him popular in what perspective?
Should I ask Hona Kaluma?
You know, by the way, you know, this arrest by police can make someone popular, but, you know, towards the election period, you know, by that time, when the police come for you, you know, if you're innocent, you're like, okay, continue, just keep on coming.
Keep on coming, because I'm gonna get sympathy votes.
I'll make a name out of this.
Yeah.
Make sympathy votes.
Yeah.
And by the way, you must admit, you know, when the deputy president then, that is President William Ruto currently, was facing a lot of tribulations. Tell you what, Simba, you know, there are just people out there who are like, mbona jamaa anateswa bana? Whether whatever is being accused of is true or not.
Yeah.
Mbona jamaa anateswa bana? Mimi hata nitapigia jamaa kura.
Acha kuteswa.
That is how Kenyans are. You know, sometimes Kenyans, we don't vote based on policies.
No.
You vote based on emotions.
Actually, we've never.
Mbona unatesa mtu wetu bana? Mbona mimi nitapiga kura. You've not even listened to their manifesto. Niwaonyeshe amujui. Unaonyesha nani naenda utahangaika. Vote based on policies, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, Kaluma is saying that by going after Matiang'i, you're making him actually very popular. But which from an election perspective, fine. Also from the standpoint of what makes him so special, why are you really going for him? Because we've said now, it's as if, Keitany, the silence in the rest of the former cabinet, yeah, that was in Uhuru Kenyatta's government, they're not going for them. They're just going for Matiang'i.
I mean,
nini yako nayo?
We don't know. We don't know the exact reason. But I mean, we do understand what was happening during the you know, past regime and all the dynamics of power. Yeah. You know, Matiang'i was a very powerful man, by the way.
He was, yeah.
You know, there's one particular photo I remember where former president or retired President Uhuru Kenyatta, I don't know where exactly, I don't remember exactly where he was coming from. And of course, Deputy President then, that is Dr. William Samuel Ruto, was on location to receive his boss then, and so was Dr. Matiang'i. But guess who was the first one in
that line,
to welcome the president? Not the deputy,
no.
Fred Matiang'i. That was how powerful that guy was. So, I mean, we don't understand, we don't know what, you know, is behind Matiang'i's tribulations at the moment. But of course, we'll get to the bottom of it.
Yeah. Is it surprising that, just quickly before we jump into the next one, is it surprising that a man who would have naturally already spoken about it, Gachagua, is quite silent on it?
You know, I really don't call him Gachagua. I prefer to call him Rigiji. But, you know, Rigiji, the deputy president, His Excellency, I mean, is a man who, I think he has something with Matiang'i. That is why he's not talking, because we all know the tribulations he also underwent.
Yeah.
You know, during campaigns, he was always like, walinishika wakaniachilia. He spent many nights in police custody, and issues, cases concerning, corruption, embezzlement of funds, fraudulent tenders, because this is a man who got tenders, in the money that, his account was frozen. I think it was around 202?
202, to be exact.
Exactly, yeah.
And they got it back.
He got it back.
And guess who's going to pay it?
This, let me tell you, Simba, this money, he got from different tenders from different counties. Not only in his, of course, native county, that is Nyeri County, but as well even in counties like Bungoma. And you ask yourself, were these tenders, got in the right, did he get these tenders through the right channel? Or did he not? But I guess that is a matter now that is in bed, because, the money was given back to Gachagua. I might say, even the president himself is yet to, comment on the matter. I think Gachagua is silent because maybe the boss has told him, just hold your balls. Keep calm. Don't talk about this issue. This is a very serious issue.
Tulia what?
Because we know Gachagua is outspoken. Very outspoken.
Already.
He's a man who, he says, is not afraid to speak his mind. Question is, when you speak your mind, anyway.
Can we look into the next one? I'm happy that we're not going to look at the last one because we're out of time. It was about Man City and Arsenal yesterday night.
We'll definitely mention it.
Yes, but I don't think we have the time, according to our director. So this is Kosi, who's saying, Ndindi Nyoro is overworking, vile inafaa as a leader. What if all elected leaders emulated his way of working and do that much work to the constituents? For those who know, I did launch an initiative called Masomo Bora, where in his constituency, it will cost any other person going for day schooling just 1,000 shillings per month. And this is bound to benefit 14,000 learners. I gotta say congratulations. That's it.
Ndindi Nyoro is one of the MPs that the rest of the members of parliament should be looking at. Let me tell you, do you know all the classrooms in Kiharu constituency have been tiled? We talk about how crucial education is in, of course, making the country successful. And Ndindi Nyoro has done exactly that. Well, when you tell, when you take all the schools in a particular constituency today, day schools, you tell them you'll only pay 1,000. And on top of that, by the way, is providing, tea break for them, and of course, lunch. What excuse do you have not to take your kid to school, Simba? What excuse do you have? Because literally, everything has been done for you. You only have to pay 1,000 per term. You cannot tell me you like 1,000 per term, Simba.
No.
For a period of 3 months, you like 1,000.
It's achievable, isn't it? It's achievable. You like to think. But so kids have to go to school now in that particular
constituency. You have to take your kid to school. No excuses.
It's set the standards. Also, Keitany, just before we move into the next one, we just have a minute, and I'm just going to pick your 15 seconds on there. The governor for, I'm sorry, I come on air without the details. There's also a governor who launched a bus-free drive for all, not university, but secondary school students. What was it? In partnership with KCB. I just can't put a finger on his name as well. So those are two leaders that we've seen who are really interested in making education easier in their particular counties and constituencies. It's the way to go. That's the only thing that we can say.
Those are the leaders that each and every political leader in this country should emulate. But that is that, Simba.
All right. Now, last one. Just before we step out of the studio, in as much as it pains me to do this, Arsenal have lost their 10 Premier League matches to Manchester City. Fine, everybody knew that. In the last 10 meetings, Man City have scored 26 goals against the Gunners. Wow. Well, Arsenal found the back of the net only 3 times against the Citizens. Ooh. All right, that's not a very good start. Anyway, Keitany, I'm going to give you time to clear the show with whatever way you want until the director says, let's get out of the studio. Again, I decided not to speak on this. Thank you very much. I'm going to listen.
You cannot, and I want to be clear, you cannot have anything to say when your team is playing terrible football. And I said it's embarrassing. Having conceded 29 goals in 11 matches against Manchester City, only scoring 3. It's embarrassing, Simba, really embarrassing. But it's not a good time to talk about small teams. Talking about matters football, Manchester United will play today against Barcelona in the Europa League. And of course, we do know that is the only other competition that Arsenal are participating in. And of course, they don't have any chance. Tell you what, Arsenal will be going trophyless at the end of the season. And Simba's calmness today is brought to you thanks to Manchester City. And we hope Unai Emery will do the same. To all Arsenal fans, I'm sorry, you are going yet again trophyless this season. But remember, United are winning the Carabao Cup. We are in contention to win the FA Cup. And of course, we are back in the title race. Simba wouldn't agree, but Simba, thank you very much for the silence. And of course, to you, the viewer, thank you so much for joining us today. Tomorrow is, of course, E-Friday. We talk matters entertainment. And of course, Simba will be here with Guru Kimani to entertain you and bring your Fridays to life, because the weekend is here with us. Thank you so much. God bless. Do enjoy the rest of our own programming.